conversation. We are here to talk about change. Oh, we love it or hate it. Well, we're going to find out. We're going to find out. So, if you are joining us for the very first time, welcome. We are three YouTube vloggers, myself, Lisa, from A Life Full of Meaning, Paul from Narrowboat Life Unlocked, and Maxine from Never Too Late, Our Journey. And essentially, we're narrowboat vloggers, although Paul is the only one on a boat at this time. But we don't sort of get together midweek to talk about narrowboats or boating life. We just like to pick a topic and unravel it. Now, this is not the place to come to if you're looking for perfect answers or curated sound bites. We have none of those things. We just unpick a topic and see what we find out. So that is us. That is who we are. If you are returning, watching live or later, then welcome. Thank you for coming back. And this is really an interactive process because we love your chat as we go along. So yeah, welcome. Before we start talking about change, let us talk about our week so far. How has things been for you, Paul? And you are literally riding out a storm in your boat. So how's things going?
Yeah, well, I need to change my headphones or my earplugs because it's like being out at sea. The boat's creaking, the ropes are creaking. We're next to a decking. Oh, really? And it sort of, we went to bed and it was okay. And then as the night went on, the wind got stronger. But it's quite... Somebody was asking about this in the week on one of the narrowboat forums. What do you do about creaking ropes and fenders? And they said we've got to enjoy that sound and find it relaxing. And I quite do now. I quite do. You know, I do quite enjoy listening to the fenders creaking and that because I think, we're on a boat and we're safe and it's nice and warm. Yeah. Enjoy it.
Yeah. I loved it when we were on Nutshell. I loved windy weather. I love that sort of buffering that you get when you're in bed, especially, and everything's creaking and you think I'm warm, I'm toasty, I'm safe, and all this weather's happening around us. And
it's a nice reminder, isn't it, that you're living on a boat? Sometimes you just forget.
Yeah, sometimes you do. Maxine, what about your week? How's it going?
We've been over to the boat to see how she's getting on, and we're nearly there, which is great. And we've just done lots and lots of walking because we're in the Peak Districts at the moment, and it's absolutely gorgeous. Very muddy. I went flying on one of the occasions, so I got very dirty.
No way.
That was halfway round. But
was the video camera rolling, Maxine?
Sorry?
Was the video camera rolling?
No, luckily, because it would have been the side.
It would have been fantastic. So, like what I do when I'm vlogging and something happens, I'm like, Glenn, can you do that again? That's really big. Can you fall over again?
I was covered in mud.
Oh man. But being between, having essentially no place to call home, you're okay with it.
Yeah, I'm just enjoying it. I've got a few bits around us, obviously, because we've brought stuff with us to the house and everything. So it's just a different house and just doing our usual day-to-day things, really.
Yeah, lovely. Well, for me this week, it's been Valentine's Day, which is a day for many people where they just enjoy the day. No, not for us. It was a busy day delivering flowers. It always is. It's all hands to deck. Naomi was helping in the shop. Beth was helping in the shop. Me and Glenn were out delivering. It was go. So, and I got home. Do you know what? I got home on Monday night after delivering all these bouquets of joy to people, which is the bit I like, actually. And I came home and I looked at my vase of flowers that I'd had for a couple of weeks, and I had dead flowers. And I was like, Glenn, we've just delivered all these flowers, and I come home to dead ones. No, he rectified that. He popped back down the shop and came back with some flowers. So
good.
That was good. When Glenn gives me flowers, I just always think, thanks, Deb. So. Anyway, so that is the week. Lots of people popping in to say hello. So hello to you all. I'm still restricted with my glasses. I can't see clearly. So Paul and Maxine are keeping an eye on the chat for any great comments. But welcome, everybody. I've just seen, actually, Deb said Glenn's a keeper. He certainly is. I haven't let him go 30 odd years, and he is a keeper. Bless him. So
yeah, but I keep telling Glenn he dropped on with you, Lisa. But I also keep telling Anthony he dropped on with me. It's just like a running gag now.
Yeah. Lucky. That's what they are. They're lucky, aren't they, Paul? Lucky to have us. Right. So, change. Love it or hate it. Now, I've got a feeling what Maxine and Paul are going to say, because we're very similar. But if you're watching in the comments, just tell us, love it or hate it, change. Maxine, love it or hate it?
I love it. Yeah,
you love
absolutely.
It. I thought you was going to say that. Paul?
Yeah, love it. Yeah, I think that's why I love New Year's Eve, because you think it's a new year, it's time for a change. So yeah, I love it.
I am exactly the same. I love change. The bigger, the better. Yeah. If someone would say to me, pack your bags, you're leaving, you're going around the world, you're going to start a new life, I'll be like, yeah, I'm off. And, well, I wouldn't actually. I'd be quite sad about the kids, but you know. But I was thinking about it, and I think, is it a new start that we like? Because I love a new week, I love a new month, and I certainly love a new year. It's that potential that is ahead of us. Yes. So, do you feel the same thing, Paul?
Yeah,
Maxine,
now, You know, I love a good quote.
Yeah.
So I got two for this today. So one of them, the price of doing the same old thing is far higher than the price of change, which I thought was very good. That's from Bill Clinton, would you believe? And the other one that is from George Lichtenberg is, I cannot say whether things will get better if we change. What I can say is if they must change if they are to get better.
I like that.
Wow. And also, it, I think change is inevitable, isn't it? So, so that thing of trying to keep things the same is, is exhausting. Let me just have a quick look to see whether people are like us, whether they love it. So, Carol, love it and hate it sometimes. It could be a double-edged sword. UK to Thailand. Yes, I love change and the next chapter in life. Vicky, that she loves it. That's why she bought a boat. New back garden when cruising. Jackie, love a positive change. And Deb says she loves it. So people do like it. Oh,
no one doesn't.
Linda, I'm the odd one out. I don't like change at all. And Carol, nothing stays the same. I always tell when we're on a good subject. I get so excited, my glasses steam up. I get I'm like, I can always tell, because I stop as if I need any more difficulty seeing. So what do you love about change was the next question, but I think we've covered that. It's the new start, the potential. Do you think the potential for So what is it about change that can make it feel so uncomfortable?
It's human nature, isn't it, to resist change. We all sort of get comfortable doing the same thing. Even if it's a bad habit, we can get comfortable doing that and find it difficult to make a change. And do you remember years ago, I was trying to remember whether it was the telephone boxes. I think it was the telephone boxes. They were going to change the colours of them, and there was so much uproar because people like that similarity and that same thing that they've all grown used to. And maybe it's a comfort thing, isn't it?
Well, a friend of mine used to say it's called a comfort zone for a reason. It's comfortable. Why would you want to leave it? And I think, there is a point there. There is a point there. But I think it may be the unknown. The unknown of change. What do you think, Maxine?
I think it's something it can be daunting. So because you don't know what on the other side, do you? You know, you've got your comfortable life and you're doing everything in same way all the time. So when you do something that's changed, you've got no idea what it's going to be. Your life's going to be like, and you're just hoping that it's the right decision. And if not, you have to do another change. But it's the daunting side of things, I think, because you're just not 100% what it's going to be like.
I think that's why it's so amazing. We love living on a narrowboat because there is so much change. But actually thinking about it, when you're more somewhere and you love the countryside and you get to know the village and you get to know people, you don't want to move. And again, it's getting that into that habit, isn't it, of your comfort zone. And then there are times when I think, oh, I really don't want to move. I love it here. But then you move and it's even nicer. The countryside's nicer. The village is nicer. The people are still nice. And you know, it's just such a good example living on a narrowboat, I think, that changes every week or every 2 weeks.
Yeah. Absolutely. I do think that there's a big difference between big changes and little changes. And actually, I think bigger changes are easier than smaller changes. Do you see the same?
Definitely.
So, for example, like if someone said, oh, you know, massive change here, I'd be like, yes, and go for it. But it's those little changes that are just so difficult. Like, I've got echo again. Have you got echo as well?
We can just hear it from you, Lisa.
It's like my voice amplified. It's the worst.
Like you're a big amphitheatre.
Yeah, I think those smaller changes are harder. If we look at like lifestyle changes, I mean, how many of us know changes that we want to make in our lifestyle and we don't do them? You know, even as simple as I'd say, if you drive to the supermarket or a car park that you go to often, how often do you park in the same area of that car park?
You do, yeah.
That's like unconscious habits. And to change that it feels odd, even if it's, you know, like parking in a different area of the car park, but you automatically go into the same area. Why does it feel so odd to park in a different park? Does that make sense?
Definitely.
I'd say it's like a supermarket when it has a reshuffle and everything, because you know where everything is in the supermarket you go to, and then they have a change round, and you go in and you can't find anything, and it drives me absolutely mad.
It drives me mad.
Oh, it does. And I know why they do it, but it's still it's nothing so annoying. So that's a little change, but
well, I challenge anyone to go around to Asda in Burnley and find anything, because it's just so odd. Like, you've got to go out the shop to buy your cards almost, and then you've got to go around. It's just really odd. And then they put the thing on the. Oh, so I'm going on now. Where they put the thing over the aisle where it'll say chopped tomatoes. They're not in the aisle. I've walked up and down it 5 times. But going back to what you said, Lisa, it's true. We go same thing. You go into a restaurant or a cafe, you always go to you want the same table, don't you? It's weird.
So and how often is there just one or two things that you have on the menu? You go for the same, either the same dish or something similar the whole time. It reminds me of an experiment we did. Well, I made Glenn do it. I was just, like when I come up with all these good ideas. This is way before we sold the house, and I realised that life tends to get smaller unless you're changing it, because you do the same things over and over and over again. And there's part of you that thinks, well, actually, I know I like that. If we go back to a menu, I know I like that. So that's what I'm having. But it made me think that our life was getting smaller and smaller. And I thought, if we just keep going on this trajectory, by the time we get older, like, our life is going to be really small. So I started something which I called DoSomethingDifferent.com, right?
Oh, wow.
And basically, whatever, it was like a little catchphrase. So whenever I found ourselves doing something the same way, I'd be like, do something different.com. So if we went to restaurants, we deliberately picked stuff we wouldn't have, or we deliberately parked in different areas of a car park, or went somewhere different. And I only remembered that when I started to think about change and that. I was like, we did that for quite a long time, and it was really fun.
Yeah.
So I think I might let Glenn know that we're going back to that. He'll be chuffed.
It's a really good idea, isn't it? Because it's giving you variety that you wouldn't normally have.
No, and also it's about being conscious about the things that we do automatically. So Carol's just put, don't like the physical changes of getting older, young at heart, but the body won't follow. We were actually talking about that exact same thing, weren't we? Just before we came on, because I was saying I still can't see out my glasses, and it's the one thing that I miss, basically, is good eyesight. Yeah. Mark, let's just, here we go. Mark's put, same menu choice is a thing, especially takeout. Now try something new each order. And we found some really nice dishes we would never have had before.
Yeah.
That is brilliant, Mark. I love that. That's a great way to incorporate change, isn't it? Deb said, I had a new job where I turned left out of my driveway, and it took me ages not to turn right as I used to go for my old job. Yeah, we're so programmed, aren't we?
Yeah.
We're so, and the reason for that, I think, is in a way a good thing, because our brain can do stuff automatically, can't it? Because, you know, there's a lot going on. So, you know, I think in a way, some of the stuff we do on automation is, you know, a good thing. So Deb's put, the unknown can be scary when you've been set in your ways. Absolutely. Do you think it's a fear of, well, just a fear of the unknown? It doesn't have to be a fear of failure, just a fear of the unknown. It goes back to that uncomfortable feeling.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, you know, when you go on holiday to a new place and you don't know where anything is, and you have that sort of, it's not uncomfortable. You wouldn't pinpoint it as that. It's quite fun exploring, trying out new things, but there's that, it's unsettled. You don't know what's around the corner. I quite like that.
I like it when you go to a hotel and you first arrive and you don't know where you don't know where the plates are, you don't know where the food is, and you don't know where the pizzas are, and as the week goes on, you feel like you've been there forever, and then you see all the new people arriving and they're looking around like headless chickens, and
it's so strange. I love human behavior. I love just noticing what we do differently. I just want to say hello to Erica from America. She's tuned in live today, so I just want to say a big hello to her. So what's Deb Cameron saying? It helps keep your pathways in the brain become more flexible. I think and POG, am I saying that right? As Dale Carnegie said, feel the fear and do it anyway. I always thought that was Susan Jeffers that said that. I loved her book, Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. And basically that was all about stuff's changing all the time. Get on with it. She wasn't that harsh.
It was Lisa Warner that said that.
I think I took it. I took it from Susan and taken it from Dale. Yeah. I love it. So there's a big difference between change we choose and change that's forced upon us, isn't there? It's got a whole different emotion. And I think it reminds me of way back in 1997 when we first brought our house that was round the corner from here, and it was like the biggest house we'd bought, and we were young, we had 4 small children, and Glenn came home one day, it wasn't that long after we'd moved in, and he said, I got some terrible news. I was like, what? And he said, I've been made redundant. The whole department, they've made us all redundant. And I turned around, we still talk about this now, and said, Glenn, that's fantastic. You can do whatever you want, right? And Glenn was like, no, Lisa, you don't understand. This is not a good thing. No. And I was like, yeah, Glenn, it is, it's great. Now, it did turn out all right. We were fine. But what I look back when I think about that story is how I completely discounted Glenn's fear, his fear basically. You know, we had this big house, he had a young family, you know, all this uncertainty, which was of great worry to him, and I completely was like, didn't notice it at all. But yeah, big change out of our control, or even little change out of our control, is scary. Do you, because we love change, do you notice how it affects others, Maxine?
I think so. I mean, because it doesn't bother me at all. I just embrace it and get on with it, and that's life. But I have friends and family that struggle with change. And it's unnerving for people, and that's the thing. And I think I have to react differently to if it's just for me, it's fine, but you have to think about the others, the way they are reacting, and so you go in with a different direction when you're talking to them about things like that, and try and explain to them how it can help and things like that, instead of, because they're really scared about it.
What about you, Paul? Are you good at spotting it in others?
Yeah, I'd like to think so. You know, I think people who are close to you, who have had changes forced upon them, I think I'd like to feel that I know them well enough to spot those changes. I think I'm one of those people that don't handle forced change very well. I think I'm a bit of a control freak, and maybe I've got a bit of an OCD, and I don't mean that in a light way. I know that I have. So I like to plan my day out in my head. And so, for example, if Anthony's off, and we both got the day off, I think, right, tomorrow we'll get up nice and early, we'll have breakfast, we'll take the dog for a walk, we'll have a drive out to Skipton. And then the minute Anthony says, right, we're going to have a lie-in, and we're going to have a late breakfast, and then we're going to go to the supermarket. And it's like, it does my head in, because I've got this perfect day planned out in my head. And I don't like forced change. That's a bad thing, isn't it?
No, I think being aware of it is always the best place, because the minute your brain starts feeling a certain way, you can think, oh, hold on, this is because, and I think that example just goes to show how change can unsettle us, even if it's not big change that is fearful. Just we have this picture in our brain of how it should be, and when things interrupt that, it sort of upsets our
and affects your mood.
That's So let's have a look. This is Pod going deep. You never make the wrong decision. You only change your destiny. Yeah. That's actually a good point, because I was thinking just this morning actually about changes that I'd made in our life, which some may say were unnecessary changes. And to be honest, I might even agree, change for change is sake. Yeah. So when we were in the Northampton town centre marina, we loved it there. We had great friends. It was really convenient. And when Campbell Wharf was being built in Milton Keynes, I was like, let's change it up. Let's move there. Yeah. And everyone was like, oh, why are you moving? I was like, I just fancy it, right? just fancy a change. And Glenn was like, really? You know, are you sure? I was like, yeah, Glenn, I'm sure it's going to be great. And then obviously we moved on from there. And I was thinking, was that change for change's sake? And then I thought, do you know what? Had we have not moved there, we wouldn't have met Miramar and Liam and Carolyn and Charlie, who have become really good friends. So had we not have moved, change for change's sake, we wouldn't have met those people who are really important to us now. So you know, is it that there is no bad change? It just changes our life in some way. So yeah,
I think all three of us agree that change, because you know we've changed from the normal lifestyle by selling our houses and moving onto narrowboats. Yeah, and also I was thinking about that this morning, that how many times have you moved house over your lifetime? And have you moved house because you're not happy where you are? Is it you just want to change? And you know, you go to a bigger house and you take on a bigger mortgage, and is that because you want a bigger house and a bigger mortgage? You just want more change? Yeah, I don't know. And isn't it a thing as well about people getting into debt as well by changing the car to the latest flashy modern one? And actually, at the end of the day, it's just a ride from A to B. And I think that novelty soon wears off, doesn't it? When you've got that brand new car. That's how I feel.
Yeah, do damage as well, can't it?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a whole podcast conversation in that is the cost of change. You know, what does change cost us? And if it is change just for the bigger, better, brighter, you know, what's the financial impact on that? Mark, what's Mark saying? Let's have a look. I have a daily schedule, Monday to Friday, and need to stick to it or I'm an ogre. I don't like anyone who tries to change it for me, but I live with constant change with technology, work and weekend schedules. That's really interesting. Goes to what you were saying, Paul, is how much do we try and schedule to be in control of some things, because there's all these outside influences that are always changing. So to give us that sort of sanity or for our brains to be calm, we set ourselves this schedule of the way that we want things to be. Yeah. Do we need both as human beings?
Yeah. You've got to have it's a balancing act, I think.
Yeah. Do we need that sort of level of uncertainty to keep us sort of on our toes, as well as assurances that our life is safe? Yeah. I think it was Tony Robbins, I remember from years ago, he said something the same, and it was like, we need to know, like, the ceiling isn't going to fall down and the ground is steady under our feet. We need to know these things to go out and to sort of make change. So we need to be safe, you know, from a position of safety. He said it a lot better. Again, I'm paraphrasing. all these motivational gurus, if they could hear me now paraphrasing their work, they'd be like, that's not what I said, Lisa.
Close.
Yeah. Carol brings up a great point here. Change through bereavement is very different from change by choice.
Yeah, definitely.
I can see that. And Maxine, I'm sure you've got something to say on that as well.
It is. I mean, obviously it just completely changes your life and you have to start again, really. And it doesn't matter who you've lost. That's a major change. And it's not one that you wanted, but you have to get on. Well, my way was, right, I need to deal with this and I need to change my life. And so it's a difficult one, Carol.
Yeah, absolutely. And a change on a whole nother level, isn't it?
Totally. It's a complete life change.
What's Deb from Wales saying here? When you don't actively work on evolving yourself, life can become stagnant. Being open to change, learning new skills, or working on your inner self can bring about changes you never knew were possible. That is
Very good.
spot on.
Yeah.
Yeah, spot on there. And I think maybe that's why the three of us love change so much, is because we love all that personal development. I don't even like that term, but you know, for the want of a better phrase, that personal development, that working, that discovering keeps us fresh.
Self-improvement as well, isn't it? I did a quick Google search for change and it said tweak, and I thought that's a really good word as well, isn't it? It's tweaking things and making things better, hopefully.
That's it.
Yeah. So maybe that's it. It's tweaking. I've just seen one from Gordon Jackson. Lisa, there's one thing that you would never want to change. That's Glenn. He's 1 in a million. Oh, he is indeed. He is. Yeah. So let me go back to some of the questions that I wrote. As we get older, do we find we are more inflexible to change? Oh, let's just see if we.
I don't know about you, Maxine. More inflexible, more or less inflexible.
Oh, I'm trying to hide that. I'm trying to get rid of that, and I've highlighted it. that wasn't what I meant to do. Let's 1 second. Talk amongst yourselves.
That's changing, isn't it?
That is. Let's do that. I can't get rid of it now. Oh man, let me highlight another comment and get rid of it. That's why I can't be trusted to press any of the buttons. I was like on that. I was like, let's get rid of that. Press it, highlight it. Yeah. Anyway, where were we?
Yeah, you're talking about as we get older, do we find it more difficult to change? Or easier? I think probably easier because I think life teaches us that if we've made these changes, it's been for good, hasn't it? It's worked out well for us, really. I think. What do you think, Maxine?
I mean, doesn't change to me it's fun, and I think as you get older, you've got to do it now because you don't know how much longer you've got left either. That's the way I look at it. So you just go with it. But when I look at like my grandma, she's gone now, but what she was like she hated anything. If she liked her routine, and if somebody threw her out of her routine, changed something she didn't like it, she couldn't cope as easily. So probably at my age I am now, I haven't got a problem with it at all. And I think I change more easily now than I did 20 years ago. But I don't know what's going to be in the future, if I'm going to get into a situation where I just like my everyday life and keep, everything has to be a set way. But I don't think so, because I know the way I am, but
I think that's why we got to that age, myself and Anthony, where we thought, we bought all the houses and we'd done everything we could to the house, and we thought, it did feel like life was getting stagnant, and we still had our good friends and family, and we wanted to do something different. We nearly bought a farm, would you believe, off one of the remote islands in Scotland. Sorry, not a farm. We nearly bought a campsite off some remote island in Scotland. And we nearly did that. We nearly bought a campsite in Wales. We just felt like we needed to do something different. Life was getting stagnant for us. And then, we started to look at narrowboats because we'd done narrowboat day trips. And best thing we've ever done so far.
Yeah. That's it. When I look at older relatives, some that are no longer with us, and that whole thing about their world getting smaller as they got older by doing the same things, I'm not going to say that makes me fearful of aging. It makes me aware. It makes me super aware that I don't want to do that. That keeping on trying new things and doing things differently is essential to me.
I think it keeps your mind fresh as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it keeps us on our toes, doesn't it? It really does, because awakens all our senses. As we were saying before, you know, if you're in an area where you don't know the layout of you know where things are, our senses are heightened. You know, we're you know, our smell, our sounds, we're looking for clues. All of this happens not on a conscious level. I mean, we're not like walking around like a detective, but you know, it all happens on an unconscious level where we're trying to get as much data to our brains as possible, aren't we, about our surroundings? So here's a question, and I think we've sort of answered it. Could embracing change be the key to living a full life?
I think so. Yeah. Because if you don't embrace it, it'll eat away at you, and you'll just be unhappy. I think you'll be, well, I would be unhappy. That's why we're doing what we're doing. And I, as I say, I think Steve doesn't like change as much. He does now because he's had to. But I mean, he lived in the same house for 34 years. He'd done very similar things and everything. But he has totally, well, the last probably 10, 12 years, he has changed, and he enjoys doing the different things now. So yeah, I think we've got to embrace it.
Yeah, I agree. You know, we've got family and people that we know who are getting quite elderly now, and they're so set in their ways, and they don't want to get out of the set routine. They won't even fly abroad, and they've never been abroad. And I think it's such a shame, isn't it? There's so much out there in the world that you could be enjoying, and that sense of adventure. Yeah, I think it's quite sad, really. And I feel bad saying it, but I find it quite sad that people haven't made the most of their with and gone out and made it an adventure.
Yeah, I agree.
Alan brings up a good point. Going back to aging, changing when older seems harder because you're content. Unfortunately, lifestyle is always changing, so you do need to keep on learning. E.g., completing online forms is tough for us retired folk. Alan, we've talked about this do you remember when we talked about technology? And without a doubt, technology is one of the things that is forever changing. And I think even if you take just even like a couple of years out of say work, the technology is like has changed beyond recognition, you know, in such a short space of time. And as I said, when we talked about technology, the fear of being out of touch with technology is a big one for me. I think when it comes to technology, we just want stuff to work, don't we? Right? I remember it's got to be about 7 or 8 years ago when Facebook did a massive update. They changed like something, and I remember people were outraged. It was like, oh, this is terrible, and you know what, we all just sort of got on with it and accepted the change, and then it became normal. And if we were to look back at screenshots of how, you know, it used to appear in our screens, we'd be like, well, you know, that was that what we've got now works so much better. So that technology, we're always going to see changing and evolving, and it's a tricky one, technology.
Even apps, if they change their logo, it winds me up, and I think other people probably find the same. You can't find it on your phone, but it's like, and you get used to it.
Yeah, I know. I just want to say hello to Heidi, who's just joined us Heidi as well. So, I think as we get older, we're content, we're happy with the way things are. I can see how we just want stuff to say the same, but it doesn't. So this is the last question I've got written down, actually. And anyone watching, I would love your feedback on this one. So how do we get better at making change part of our daily lives? And I asked this question with no answers. I haven't got any of the answers, so I am intrigued to what people will say. Maxine, Paul, have you got any thoughts on this one?
I think just doing something different, and I was going back to what I said earlier about, if my daily plan in my head changes, I should embrace that. And I keep listening to a meditation, and it says, if somebody asks you something, say yes. And sometimes that can be a bad thing because you may be busy. But if it's something like, like yesterday, why don't we have a ride out into Skipton? And I'm like, it's an hour away, and it's cold, and it's like I'm cozy on the boat, but we had such a nice day in Skipton. It is that, just looking to do something different. I don't like getting stuck into the same routine every day. I find life can become quite stagnant. I keep saying to Auntie, let's turn the TV off. It's so easy to settle down in the evening and watch TV, and before you know it, the evening's gone and you're back to work the next day, and it's the same routine. I like to change things up a bit, and I'm going to take the fuse out of the TV and see how that goes.
That's brilliant, Paul. That's brilliant. Maxine, have you got any ideas on how we can make change part of our daily life?
Yeah, as Paul said, I think you've got to just mix it each day up. I mean, obviously, I know people have routines that things have to be done, but you can alternate them and move them around, and just so you can still get everything done in that day, but don't keep. I think if you do something slightly different each week, day or week, just so it doesn't become mundane, because that's the thing. And then you get bored, and then that's when you start getting sad and things like that. So if you can just upbeat everything, and that's so you're not doing it same thing each single day. Just change it around.
Change it around.
Yeah.
Is it as simple as parking in a different space or in a different area of the car park and getting comfortable with just doing things differently? There's some great things coming in here.
And embrace change. That's what it's all about, isn't it?
Yeah, be spontaneous. Yeah. Here we go. Let's have a look. Carol, decided I'm watching too much YouTube. Carol, there's never too much YouTube. All right. There is. That's for sure. So I'm on a health challenge of 10,000 steps most days. I've taken you with me on the dog walking, the Cheshire countryside. Oh, that is fab. I've got one actually. Carol's comment has just made me think of it. So I've been up in my walking because I've got this marathon to walk in like a month's time.
Oh my goodness.
So I know. Oh my goodness. That's what I say daily. Oh my goodness. How did that happen? Oh my goodness. So I thought, right, I'm going to download an audio book. And to be honest, I always go for the same sort of genres.
Yeah.
If it's me and Glenn listening to something on a road trip, I'll always go for something that's like, some sort of thriller that I wouldn't normally read on my own. But, I'll go for that. If it's for me, it's a particular genre of fiction usually, and or something self-help, right? That's what I go with. And of course, Audible, they know that's what I go with. So very helpfully, the algorithm goes, here's your choices. And I'll just pick one of those. So I decided that I was going to pick something completely different, a completely different genre that I've listened to before. And I am halfway through a book that is just blowing my mind. It is just blowing my mind. So I'm going to share all about it on a blog post, because it really has opened my eyes. But just something like that, in switching something up, opens a whole new world. It makes me think maybe I should start a book club where we just pick like really obscure genres of books just to try something. So that's what I was That's what I was thinking.
Well, thinking about that, Lisa, wouldn't it be a good
yeah.
idea if you had a group of friends that had different tastes? So, you know, I could send you the books that I would read, and you could send me the books that I would read. Same with you, Maxine. And music. Maybe you should send each other our favourite tracks and see what we think.
Yeah.
That's a really good idea, because music's also one of them. You know, it's not until sometimes I'll hear some music, you know, if you're in a restaurant or something, and there's background music, and I'll like, you know, I think this song is beautiful. This song, I've never heard this before, and you know, then track it down, and it opens up, you know, a new artist and that I've never heard of before, and their work. So I think that's a great idea. Paul, maybe we should do some sort of Facebook group of like challenge ourselves to just do something different, listen to something different, read something different, just do something different. Maybe Deb's put the beautiful rainbow from the crystal in the window where the sun's come. It's flooding the room with this gorgeous rainbow. It's beautiful. And work less, live more. This is Ben. He's I'm going to try and work less, live more. Yeah, that's sometimes there just doesn't seem enough day left at the end of a working day, does it? No. And we, I think all three of us are in a really fortunate position where we do have a lot of control over our work, you know, how, when, you know,
it can be quite flexible, can't it?
And still I haven't got the balance right. Still, you know, let's have a look. Alan said, recently watched a retired couple unable to holiday in other countries, but decided to start cooking recipes from those countries they wanted to visit. Well, that's a brilliant one, isn't it? And also a new recipe, you know, that keeps me on my toes, something a bit different. So using ingredients that I've formed some sort of opinion on, as in like, oh no, I don't like that, and then I actually do. So Carol, I'm gonna wrap it up soon because we have talked for ages. This is a good one to end on, actually. Carol, I think we all need to set small, achievable goals to make us feel good.
Yeah.
Well, I believe it's my personal philosophy in life that when we feel good, then that's the starting point for everything else. So if we can feel good about ourselves, then that's the point that we make. You know, that we can.
Can I just bring up something there, Lisa? It's funny you should say that, because I watched a TED talk last night. I've not watched one for a while, and it was excellent. It was one of the top 25 talks, and I'll send people the link if they want it. But it was basically saying people in life, they have this vision that going to school, going to college, university, getting a job, getting a house is what makes you happy. He was saying we've got it the wrong way round. He said, be happy first. And then do the other things, and everything will seem more enjoyable. So I'm going to try and do that.
It's true. That is true. I believe that. Honestly, if we start off from this place of feeling happy, or even feeling good about ourselves, good, you know, if we start off from this place, then everything else is just way more enjoyable. I'm glad I'm not the only one that thinks that. Sometimes I think, you know. Carol's just put, remember, Lisa, if you only have one earphone on, otherwise you miss all the lovely bird song and nature sounds. I must admit, where I'm walking, there's just a lot of traffic noise. That's all I've got around here. So anyway, I think that is it for this week. Oh, we've lost Maxine. She's just disappeared.
She has. She'll be back. Oh, we've not bored her.
Oh yeah, she's like, I'm over this now. I'm moving on. We'll see. We'll see if she comes back. Just say that
she's not made a change, has she?
Yes, it's like I've changed my mind. I don't want to do this anymore. So
Come back, Maxine.
yeah, come back. We just wanted to say goodbye. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining, for participating, for sharing. We really appreciate it and enjoy your input so much. So thank you for joining us. Is that Maxine coming back? No, I thought I had anyway, we're going to call it a day here, and we'll be back next week, hopefully on a Wednesday. I don't think I'm working Wednesday. Here's Maxine. She's back.
Hello.
Where did you go?
I think the wind blew the internet out.
Oh, well, you're back just in time as we're saying goodbye, and hopefully we'll be back next week, hopefully on a Wednesday, and we haven't decided a topic. So if anybody has any ideas of what we can talk about, let us know. Drop us a message, get in touch, let us know. So thank you, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.
See ya. Bye.
Bye.